Okay, so I just got this box, but we're gonna open it up right now. So I recently came across a huge load of these kind of paperback books that are compilations of the comic strips, and I bought them from two different places, and I got these which are mixed, and I got Zits as well, a whole bunch of Zits books, which doesn't sound right. But anyway, here's what happened when I got them in the mail and when I opened them. Here we go. I always open these from the bottom. Oh boy. Oh, yes. Oh, look at all of these. Oh, yeah. Handicap, I had them when I was a kid. Crop tumbleweeds, yay. I think I have that one. Probably. I know I have that already. I think I have that one. I never realized how many Beetle Bailey books there were. Look at the size of that. And his wife's name is Flo. Ooh, I do have this big tumbleweeds. Look at that. These are like almost unread. And we're covering up everything, but hey everyone, on this edition of Ex Libris, we're gonna look at what I just unboxed, which is a whole bunch of comic books. Now, these aren't comic books, these are books about the comics. They're treasury editions and compilations of newspaper comics. Okay, we have all kinds of different titles here. Now, if you've seen my other video, you know I have a bunch of Bloom County and Calvin and Hobbes and things like that. That's what we're talking about. Now, these range in printing dates from the 60s to the 80s, depending on the title. And when I was a kid, I remember getting these things at like supermarkets or drugstores, places like that. Because they were only, let's see, they still have the original prices on them, some of them, up 75 cents. If you saved up 3/4, you could get a book at the grocery store when you were shopping with Mom. And I had a bunch of these and just lost them over the years, but some of these I never had. Like I never once had a Beetle Bailey. So we're gonna take a look at the different titles that we got. Andy Capp is hilarious. If you're not familiar with Andy Capp, he's a British sort of everyman, drunkard, loudmouth kind of guy who has there are a lot of good gags in these. It's a lot of British, shall we say, music hall humor. Really funny, really witty. You know, of course, not so correct nowadays, like when he gets in fights with his wife, but usually she ends up beating him up. Very much similar to, in America, we had the Honeymooners. So it's kind of like that, you know, really funny here. You can, and on the back they would have a sample. Now I got a bunch of handicaps, and I'm reading all of these. These are all on one of the nightstands. So you read one of these at night before a few pages before you go to sleep, and it's funny. Love handicap. I also got some tumbleweeds. Forgive me, I didn't put these in order yet, but we will. Got some tumbleweeds. As you know from my previous videos, I love tumbleweeds. Loved them when I was a kid. Used to clip them out of the newspaper every day. Still have them somewhere, I think. Tumbleweeds was set in the Wild West. Next up, we have some croc. Croc was set in the desert, like the French Foreign Legion. Beetle Bailey, never owned one of these. Now I have 1, 2, 3. Some of these are really thick, too. Beetle Bailey Revenge by Mort Walker. You know, all of his hijinks in the army. This was a good one when I was a kid because I always liked Sad Sack. And Sad Sack wasn't a daily, but Beetle Bailey was. So it was kind of similar, you know, he would irritate the sergeant and kind of violent actually. But anyway, Beetle Bailey, I'm looking forward to reading these because, like I said, I never had them before. Nope, never saw these in the stores either when I was a kid. Then we have the Wizard of Id. Lots of Wizard of Ids. I didn't own a single one of these, so instant collection. That's another cool thing about buying lots of stuff, and by lots I mean both senses of the word. You can create an instant collection, you know. Sometimes it's more fun to hunt pieces down individually, but for something like this that's just in the periphery of my interest and it's just something for a laugh for my own enjoyment, it was pretty cool to come across a whole giant collection of these things at once. Because if I was at flea markets, the only reason I would buy these would be if they were like 50 cents or a quarter. I've passed these up at flea markets a gazillion times. But when I saw this entire grouping for a decent price, I just had to jump on it. So that's exactly what I did. These little pocket-sized paperback books were perfect to fit in your backpack when you were in school, or to take to the pool or to the beach or wherever your parents were taking you on vacation, like long car rides. I used to have a lot of Archie and Jughead too, and Dennis the Menace. I remember being able to pick them up right at the checkout at the supermarket. As I think that's where I got a lot of these as well when I was a kid, you know, the tumbleweeds and the other ones. Also, sometimes you could get them at the school book fairs. That was always something to look forward to. I think that's where I got most of my handicaps. I'm not sure because I was only in about 4th or 5th grade. These things, like I said, were printed mostly. Their heyday, I think, was in the 70s. Like a lot of fads. These things really seem to sell well in the 70s. Of course, Treasury editions still sell quite well today, depending on the comic strip. But as far as this size, I don't see these in bookstores as much anymore as I do the larger ones. Speaking of larger ones, let's go to the other box of comics that I got. All right, now the second box that I opened was a box of just one title, one comic, and they are Zits. The Adventures of Jeremy Duncan, the 15-year-old teenager that has something for everyone. It reminds you of the time when you were that age, and if you're a parent, the parents remind you of what it's like raising one of them. I love Zits as a comic. I don't think this was available in the newspapers I got until probably 2 or 3 years into the strip, judging by what I remember from the artwork. And that's one thing that I like about these guys, is that you can see the evolution of the characters in their development, in the artwork, when they introduce new characters and things like that. You can really watch the strip grow over the years. The only thing I don't like is that some of them don't include the color for the Sundays. Generally this size. For some reason they don't include the color, and some of these strips would be reproduced in the larger treasuries. as far as zits go, it seems that the treasuries are the ones with the, let's find you one, don't make a liar out of me, the ones with the Sunday comics as they appeared. That's what I like, because this is how you remember it. And the coloring, there's a reason that the artist did it. I don't understand why they don't do it in here, except for cost, which is, you know, I don't think that's really an excuse, because if I want to get them, I want to get them as they were. These are hilarious. Let me tell you, I've been reading this one. I'm halfway through it, as you can see already. And this one seems to be some of the earlier, judging from the artwork. But the humor is fantastic. And in this first month of 2025, I'm sure you can agree that we all need to laugh as much as possible, because otherwise we would burst into tears. That's why I enjoy these books so much. As I've said before, they're perfect to just have on your nightstand. Read a few pages every night before you go to sleep. It'll put a smile on your face. You'll sleep better. It'll ease your anxiety and your tension. It's just really good to go to bed with a laugh, I think, which doesn't apply to everything. But in this case, if you're like me, just read a couple of pages of these every night, and you know, if you had problems during the day, it just makes them seem a little less problematic. Well, that does it for this week's Ex Libris. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. As you can tell on my channel, I have a lot of other subjects. I recently posted something on Mego action figures. I'm going to do other videos on toys of my childhood and things from my youth. I'm continuing to explore antique shops and flea markets. Not right now, because we're under about 7 or 8 inches of snow, but once the weather breaks, you can look forward to that this spring. I'm planning on expanding the channel like crazy. Still gonna do Magic Mondays. Gonna keep up with the Ex Libris. Off the Cuff is coming back. I had to take a little bit of time off because it was kind of tough to video off the cuff, because I kind of missed one of my co-stars, you know. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.